more of the 19th chapter of Tanya, and it's written in the laws of the Hilchos Talmud Torah that when you learn, you always have to just review briefly what we learned before you continue. So what did we learn till now? That this chapter is going to explain to us how every Jew possesses the candle of Hashem, and that we are very blessed to have this beautiful flame, this fire, which is the presence of Hashem, the Shekhinah with us. And just like a fire, a candle, the fire of the candle flickers to go up, and by nature, because it's moving always, it's not standing still. And according to the Tanya here, he brings from the Eitz Chaim, from the Kabbalah, from the Arizal, that the source of the fire it's called Yesod HaEsh. Everything has four elements in this world. Everything has composed. Part of it is fire. Fire, the scientists, they call it energy. So that energy is, according to Kabbalah, is really in the higher spheres, and the fire, the flame of the fire, is flickering to go back to its source. Although, if it gets there, it's not going to be a fire anymore. It's going to be part of the source, the luminary, the Yesod HaEsh, which is much stronger, much more intense than a little flame of a small candle. But that's the way Hashem made it. It's only because of gravity that the flame of the fire stays here. So, and in a similar way, he says, since Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon says, Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam, candle of God is like the soul of man, and every Jew possesses this beautiful gift of having the soul flickering and trying to go back to its source. And that's the nature of the soul. It's not something that you have to create or import. That's in the system. That's in the DNA of a Jew. So, yeah, thank you very much. So when we talk about, what it means that the neshama wants to be close to Hashem, he goes into details how the neshama, the soul of a Jew, is not thinking logically. The reason I want to go to Hashem is because I'm going to be more blessed. I'm going to be more protected. I'm going to be more comfortable. That's not the reason. That's not why the neshama wants to go back to be closer to Hashem. And it's not based on a calculation. It's in the essence of who we are. That's why I wrote to you in the notes that it's beyond even our comprehension. Comprehension and logic and is something that you could understand. But something that's beyond our understanding, it's much more deep, it's much deeper, it's much more essential. It's the essence. That's why we find that many Jews will all of a sudden, as we spoke last week, in the middle of their lifetime, a man or a woman will have an awakening, an inspiration that they want to return to Hashem. And it's very difficult to change your habits. It's very difficult for a person who is a smoker to stop smoking. A person who's drinking every day to stop drinking. Habits and addictions, very difficult. So if a person never went to shul, or except Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, a person didn't learn Torah, didn't daven with a minyan. All of a sudden you see that they made a 180-degree change, a transformation in their life. How does that happen? For what? Is there something tangible? Could you feel? Could you actually measure the what you're receiving, the benefit. No, you can't. It's all spiritual. That's the essence of a Jew. That's why, just for a moment, when the Nazis, or the communism, or the Spanish Inquisition, all the Romans, all the terrible people that persecuted us and abused us and tried their best to destroy the Jewish people, they didn't understand that the Jewish people are not only resilient physically, practically, but also, even if you destroy a Jewish body, that you can't destroy the soul, the spirit, the power of and the force of the neshama continues. So either it continues by giving inspiration to the children or to the friends, and you see that the Jewish people survived all the centuries of the worst abuse and atrocities, and here we are. We're on the map. We're together. We're learning Torah together. And we're doing mitzvahs together. So how does that happen? That's what he says here in this Tanya. This chapter of Tanya explains to us that the connection that a Jew has with Hashem is in the essence, and it cannot really be explained. As much as you'll talk about it, you cannot really fathom or comprehend it and grasp it, because it's beyond words, it's beyond intellect. It's the essence of Hashem that's invested in the essence of the Jew. And that's the difference and an attitude and a perspective and an approach of the righteous Goyim and righteous Jewish people. That the Rambam says, we spoke about this.
Hey, Jerry, good morning. It's Robert. How are you doing? Good. Listen, everything looks good. For tomorrow, I just want to confirm everything's all set for us to have sort of
I'm not in control to mute him.
Make sure everything's physically...
I don't control the Zoom.
Everything else. What's the best time? You said you were available, anytime after
Robert.
Tomorrow?
Robert.
Okay,
Robert,
so
people can hear you.
I'm not going to compete with him. Ready? So it says that the righteous Goyim have a share in the world to come. The Rambam says it clearly several times. And we find that sometimes Goyim, righteous Goyim, have put their life in danger for the Jewish people. During the Holocaust, there were Jews who were saved by Goyim, who knew that they can be, if they get caught, the Nazis warned them that they're going to burn down their houses and destroy them and their families. They'll burn them, or they'll hang them, or they'll shoot them if they harbor Jewish families. And it happened. And yet, there were Goyim, righteous Goyim, who did it. Some of them did it for the payment. I would say most of them, they got paid. And some did it just because they believed in the right to do the right thing. So the question comes up from the commentaries, from the rabbis, and the Rebbe explains in this chapter, Tanya, what's the difference of a Jew who gives his life for Hashem, putting his life in danger for mitzvahs, put his life in danger for Jewish people, as it happened many times in Jewish history, or Goyim, righteous Gentiles, who also put their life in danger for other people. Not even their own family, strangers, just because they want to do the right thing. So first of all, no one is here, I'm including myself, no one should say it's anything negative, that we're not trying to put down the Goyim, the Gentiles. They're very good Gentiles. As we know, Hashem has created these Gentiles, and he has an interest. He wants them to be here, and they all have a purpose. And it's not right for any Jew to show disrespect to any person. In fact, the Gemara tells us that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai used to always greet people in the street, in the shuk, in the marketplace, and Goyim included, and he would make sure to tell them first hello, to show them that we get along with everyone. But that's not our discussion here. The discussion is, what's the difference how a Jew gives his life for Hashem? Literally, there were times Jews gave their life and they went either to the fire or whatever. They were executed because they didn't want to bow to the cross or kiss the cross or denounce their Jewish identity. And what's the difference between that and righteous Goyim and Gentiles who also gave their life by putting their life in danger and losing their life for the sake of another person or for God or for their faith? What's the difference? So the Rebbe explains that this is based on previous writings, that of course people can give their life for a higher cause, but then it's on some level it's a selfish benefit. It's a spiritual selfish reward, but it's thinking, what will I gain out of it? Okay, I don't have much to live for here, so I don't feel I'm accomplishing. I feel that it's that the circumstances is impossible, and people feel that they believe in the afterlife. He says, over there, the next world will be better. So I want to go there. Why should I be here and have so much aggravation and problems and stress? And I don't feel that I need to be here. I want to be with the angels. I want to be with God. So it's a personal, it's a good thing, but it's still it's a selfish benefit, and it's also calculated. A Jewish person can reach a level of Mesiras Nefesh, of self-sacrifice, that's totally, entirely selfless, not thinking I'm going to go to heaven, so I'm going to be more blessed, I'm going to be more happy, I'm going to be more secure and protected. No, he gives his life to Hashem unconditional, without any calculations, because he wants to connect with Hashem, and not because he understands that he'll be better off. There's no personal benefit, even a spiritual benefit. Now, why am I saying all this? Because I'm not just talking about people who have died and have lost their life literally doing mitzvahs and keeping Jewish customs and the Jewish identity. There were many, there were thousands. We're talking about guys like us. Everything in Hasidus brings it down to, you have to narrow it down to us today. Right now, as we are learning here Torah, it's the easiest thing for us to say, why am I on this Zoom? Why am I learning Torah now? What I have to benefit? What do I benefit from this? What do I gain out of this? Rabbi Smith decided that we have to learn Torah, and he's pushing everyone, and he's a great motivator and a wonderful person and an excellent salesperson. He knows how to sell his product, and he got us all together. And we're learning Torah. Yeah, it's very good. And what's going to be? What's going to happen? No big deal. So it says and explained in Chassidus that when a Jew does a mitzvah, or a Jew sits down to learn Torah, not for any other reason except because he wants to do what Hashem wants. Period. Of course, someone could motivate you, and someone could inspire you. But by the end of the day, it's your decision. And at this time, you are giving up other physical pleasures, other things that you can do instead. You can go read the paper or the internet, go for a walk, go here, go swimming, whatever you want to do. And you take the time to say, no, I'm going to serve Hashem now. I'm going to do mitzvahs now. I'm going to learn Torah now. So it says in Tanya, later on in a chapter, that this is called Mesiras Nefesh. This is called self-sacrifice. That doesn't mean that you feel like you're giving up your life for Hashem. But in a certain way, you are. Because Hashem has given us the free choice. You could be totally secular, totally free, so to speak, from any responsibilities, from any obligations. And we take upon ourselves, no, I want to be a servant for Hashem. I want to be loyal to Hashem. I don't want right now to do anything else except learn right now Torah with my friends. I want to zoom into this. I want to focus. I want to be connected with Hashem through Torah. Why? Not because you're going to be blessed with a bigger villa in Gan Eden. That's not the reason why you're learning Tanya here. Not because your family is going to be blessed. That's all it's true. You will get a bigger level in Gan Eden, and you'll be blessed, and your family be blessed, and the Jewish people are being blessed. That's all true. But according to the Tanya, and according to Chassidus, that's not the essential motivation and reason why a Jew learns Torah and does mitzvahs. It's not based on a logical calculation. How will I benefit from it? There's no I, and there's no benefit. You do the mitzvahs because Hashem said so, period. Because Hashem is our Father, and He told us to do it, and we do it with strength, and we do it with love, and we do it with joy. Of course, there are side benefits. Of course, each one of us wants to be healthy and protected. We want our families to be healthy and protected, and we want good for everyone. But if you go deep into it, a Jew does the mitzvahs because really it's all about remembering that Hashem wants us to be connected to Him, and He wants this connection can only be through His agenda, through His decision, His program, which is learning Torah, doing mitzvahs and tefillah. And then he further goes into this in the Tanya here in the chapter 19. He talks about Chochmah, and Chochmah is wisdom, Chochmah is brilliance, Chochmah is intellect. There are a lot of things about Chochmah in the plain interpretation. The Tanya comes along and reveals to us something totally much more profound, much more amazing about the word Chochmah, which we wouldn't know without the Tanya. He says, Chochmah, actually, it has a reference in the Pirkei Avos. Like I told you when we started to learn Tanya, that nothing that the Alter Rebbe says doesn't have a reference somewhere. But it's just, you have to connect the dots. It says in Pirkei Avos in chapter 4, Ben Zoyma says, who is Chacham? Someone who learns from every person. It doesn't say who's smart, who's Chacham, someone who knows the whole Talmud, and he can explain it, and he's deep. He's a deep thinker. It says clearly, someone who learns from every single person a practical, good lesson in life. But what is the power of how did you get there? How did you get to that level of Chochmah? So here in the Tanya explains, Chochmah is physically, it's in the brain. In the brain, we say there's the mind. The mind is a deeper level of the brain. And in that brain, in that mind, rests the neshama. What is the neshama? No one, I said to you earlier, no one could grasp what is the neshama. Could say it's an actual part of God. Just like we don't understand God, we don't understand what the neshama is. And everyone has the neshama in their head, and it's here, but we don't know really. They say that Einstein said, or the scientists say, that very few people use up 10% of their intellect during their lifetime, of their mind, of the power of their mind. We don't tap in much. We just, utilize it minimal, so to speak. So going back to Chochmah, it's made up of two words. Koyach ma. the power of Ma. What's the power of Ma? So we find in the Torah, again, there's a reference in the Torah, that Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron said when the Jewish people were complaining to them, and they said, give us water and give us this and that, they were nervous. So Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron said, V'nachnu ma, what are we? V'nachnu, us. Ma, what are we? What are you complaining to us? What do you expect from us that we need to, perform to you? We can't do anything without Hashem. So please, relax. So that koyach of Ma means, Ma is 45. That's one of the numbers that Hashem's name, if you spell it out in a certain way, equals 45. Hashem's name is Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. So if you take those 4 letters and you spell it in a certain manner, it equals 45. So every Jew has the koyach, the power of Ma. Ma means humility. Now, that's what I wrote to you in the notes, that there's selflessness and there's selfishness. Very similar words. Selfish is the opposite of Chachma, of Koyach Ma. If I'm selfish and I'm full of my ego, I'm not going to learn from you. I'm not going to do what it says in Pirkei Avos. I should want to learn from you because I'm full of myself. I think I know better than you, or I'm not interested in learning from you. Comes along the Pirkei Avos, and here the chapter 19 in Tanya, and says, if you're learning Torah and you want to tap into your Chachma, the Koyach, the strength of your mouth, your humility, of your neshama, you have to be ready to listen to another Jew. You have to be ready to make space for another person. And this is a theme that we find throughout the Torah again and again, that the Torah tells us, like yesterday was the yahrzeit of the Aaron HaKohen, and it says that his greatness was that he loved peace, he pursued peace, he loved every person, he brought him closer to the Torah. Aaron HaKohen, the chief Kohen Gadol, the holy tzaddik who was busy in the Mishkan. I'm sure he had many students, I'm sure he had many assistants. He had to go bring peace between two guys who are fighting over trivial things, or husband and wife. He has to get involved. Come on. And by the way, he was an old man already. He was 123 when he passed away. So imagine the old rabbi is walking along, go to someone's tent in the desert. They have nothing to complain about. They have food from heaven. They have everything they want. They have money coming out of their ears, and they're bored. So they're fighting. That's what happens a lot of times. People have nothing to fight about. They look for a stupid reason to argue and to fight. And Aaron, who's the great tzaddik, and is so busy in his responsibilities in the Mishkan, the sanctuary of God, and I'm sure he was teaching Torah. Now he has to go and make peace between two nutniks who are fighting. For what? What's this? Let them fight. What do you want from me? I have time for this. I'm going to be busy with people's Nadishkeit, people's nonsense. But this is the greatness of Aaron HaKohen. And when the rabbis want to point out the essence of Aaron, the Kohen Gadol, the holy Kohen, the chief Kohen, the servant of God, they don't say that his greatness was that he was the one who was chosen by Hashem to be the interpreter to Moshe Rabbeinu, and many other things that we know about Aaron HaKohen. What did they emphasize? That he made peace, and he went down to the level of every single Jew. Just like we learned today yesterday in the Yom Yom, that the milas from Mashiach, the quality of Mashiach is he's going to be teaching Torah to the Avos, to the Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and Moshe Rabbeinu. Hashem is going to reveal to him the secrets of the Torah that are unprecedented, and at the same time, he's going to make time to learn with Torah with every single Jew. Anashim Shutim, it says, simple Jews. How will he do both? That's a gift. That's only Hashem could put that in the system, in the program, that he's going to be able to do both.
Zoom.
But it shows you what Hashem is really expecting from Mashiach. What is Hashem expecting from Moshe Rabbeinu? What did he expect from Aaron HaKohen? Humility. What's humility? That you make space and place in your life for another person. Selflessness, not selfishness. This is the gift of Chachma, according to Hasidus and according to the writings of the great holy rabbis. Chachma is intellect. Chachma is brilliance. Chachma is learning, understanding, and knowledge. Yeah, it's all wonderful. But what's with your human relationship? How do you get along with another person? It sounds simple, right? So it comes here, the Alter Rebbe in the Tanya in chapter 19. He says that Klipa, Sitra Achra, the negative forces, they're all about selfishness. Give me. What do I gain out of it? What can I benefit from it? But the opposite is Torah and the neshama and godliness, kedusha, is just the opposite. That what we say, what can I do for to make Hashem happy? Hashem wants me to go out of my comfort zone and bring happiness to another person with humility. Not that I should say, I'm better than you. I'm helping you. I did you a favor. Remember? Did you a favor. Now, what are you doing for me? Unfortunately, that happens many times. That people forget the people who did them a favor. I was learning yesterday that it says in the Parsha that Moshe Rabbeinu did not go to fight with Midian, with the people of Midian, who there was a big war against them. He sent Pinchas. Why didn't Moshe Rabbeinu go himself? He wasn't tired because Moshe Rabbeinu benefited from Midian. Remember, when he was a fugitive, he spent time there. That's where he found his wife, and he spent a lot of time there. He said, it's not right for me to go and beat up the people from Midian because I benefited from them. If someone does you a favor, don't forget to say thank you, and don't forget, not just once. Remember, be courteous, and remember all the time, that's good for our humility.
Why did they change?
Who, Midian? Because they were negative people. They were jealous people. So before we conclude the class today, I want to say again that the difference when you learn Tanya, I want to tell you a practical thing. We're talking about humility. Everyone knows you have to be humble, and everyone knows you have to be selfless and do good for others. What's the chiddush from the Tanya? So I'm going to tell you something that happened yesterday in my shul. We'll show you the practical application of Tanya and how we could avoid conflict and turn the negative into a positive. So one of my dear friends, who's very close to me, he got excited just yesterday. I missed him for a second. Instead of giving him an aliyah, we have a small minyan for Mincha, Shabbos, and I was about to call someone else. So this person who's very close to me, he got upset and he said publicly, Rabbi, why do you forget about me? I mean, I'm right in front of your eyes. I said, you're right. I'm sorry. I had a little accident before, so my head, I wasn't focused, but I didn't want to tell him that. I said, I'm sorry. But I said, the fact that you yelled at me in front of everyone, you did me a big favor because I needed this cleansing from Hashem, this purification. And I called him to the Torah and I blessed him and I told him, I'm sorry. And he said sorry to me and we worked it out. And I told everyone that this was a perfect example how you're supposed to keep cool in a moment of anger or a moment of being hurt, not to let it get out of control, not to let it escalate. Had I not learned Tanya, I'm telling you, and not gone through this experience a few years ago with someone else, I wouldn't be able to control myself because I would say, what the heck? Why are you screaming at me in front of everyone? I'm the rabbi. Relax. But was able, I had the tools to take this negative experience, encounter, and turn it around to the positive because of learning Tanya and following the Tanya and believing in the Tanya and teaching the Tanya. So this helps me become a better person and to live the Tanya and to act on it is not just, you know, what they say in America, talk the talk and walk the walk. You want to do it? You want to live it? This is a practical example that I had yesterday, and I feel very good that Hashem gave me the strength that I was able to control myself and turn the negative into a positive and to show my friend that he is blessed just like me and he is upset and he's allowed to be upset. The only thing I told him later quietly, if you're upset, tell me quietly, privately. You want to have to get it, you yell. But the fact is, had I not learned Tanya, it would have been totally different. So I'm telling you guys that you could be a chassid and a shliach and a rabbi and teaching Tanya, but if you don't have Hashem guiding you and you're not humble and you don't prepare yourself beforehand, knowing that such a thing could happen, and you don't work on yourself constantly to be more humble and to be more devoted and believe and act on what you're learning, you could in 1 second snap and lose it all and tumble down and crash. So Baruch Hashem, that Hashem gave me the strength yesterday that I was able to do the right thing. And I thank Hashem publicly in front of all of you that I was able to pass the test and to be able to remain calm and collective and thank Hashem. I said publicly, it's good. I'm happy that I got a little bit embarrassed because it says in the writings of the Arizal, that you get embarrassed, it takes off a lot of sin, takes off a lot of negative things from the past. I want to wish everyone a beautiful week. Shavua Tov, Hatzlacha Rabbah. We love you guys. We'll see you again on Thursday. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Rabbi.
you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.